Hey everybody, it's Michael from BayArea Hiking Guides, giving that information, giving that knowledge to hike with confidence. And in this video, we're going to be talking about my personal encounters with wildlife. Ooh, yeah. Alright, so there's so much types of wildlife out there, and there's a lot of wildlife that some people get concerned about, and some people just really want to check out and be amazed by just the pure amazing beauty of some of these incredible creatures. Alright, so we've got, you get your mountain lion. I'll get a little bit into bear. I won't talk about that too much because we don't have too much of that in the Bay Area, but I'll talk about some cool encounters. We got coyotes, that comes up a lot, bobcat, the in-laws. Yeah. The in-laws. Nothing was stirring, not even a mouse. We were all sitting there for Thanksgiving, and Aunt Betty just had to open up her mouth. And what happened next was epic, although it can be a little wild during Thanksgiving dinner. Let's dig into the real wildlife creatures out there. A lot of people that get kind of scared of some of the wildlife creatures that we have here, and I've done a lot of videos on that and just kind of help people out with their fears a bit. I don't want to say these stories to put any fear into anybody or make them feel even more scared. It's more of just my encounters. So it's always important to know that there's a lot of people out there that hearsay, they say some situations that they tell you a story about maybe a mountain lion or a bobcat or a coyote. And a lot of these stories are kind of blown out of proportion because people tend to not really understand the animal, and really is it coming off aggressive. I mean, it's when you watch your pet dog or your pet cat, and, you know, is your cat or dog really playing, or are they actually being aggressive? But when people are all built up with this inner fear that they have with these creatures, they kind of, you know, tend to, well, things get a little built up. We'll start with bears, and I'm going to be really brief about this because, you know, not to say these stories aren't cool. I was 3 a.m. in the morning. We were camped out in Tahoe. And it was 3 a.m. in the morning, and we wake up to this sound of... Now first, my buddy is sleeping in the tent next to me, and I'm thinking to myself, is he snoring? Well, let's just do a checkup. So I call out to my buddy who's in another tent next to me, literally like right there, and I said, hey Matt. He says to me, yeah. Now I'm trying to reason with my mind because it's going to get into that other, oh my God, kind of feeling, and I'm doing a lot of negotiation with my mind. And I know that now I have to basically use my ears. So I tell my buddy, I said, okay, well, you're not snoring, so that's good. He tells me, what do you think it is? I said, well, you know what it is. He'd say, it's a bear, you know. It sounds like two of them. So as I listened closer, I knew, as I told my buddy this, that they're not coming off aggressive. They're just playing, because you can hear them starting to play. You hear like rolling around, doing all kinds of stuff. So now that I have the understanding that they're playing. Now, we know it's a wild animal. It could turn at any point. So we start getting into a point to where, okay, well, now that they're playing, we don't have any food. We have nothing scented in the tent. We've done everything in the bear canister and a bear container. We've got everything's all hunky-dory. So the likelihood of them going through our tent. Now, mind you, a lot of people think that, oh, well, if you're sleeping outside and you're not in a tent, versus if you're in a tent, you're more protected in a tent. No. If a bear wants to come in your tent, it'll be this fast. Okay? So it's the same. There's no protection. They can get through your car. They can rip and tear. I mean, the story's gone. So it's always important to, we get an understanding of what they're trying to do. And I'm like, these are these teenagers, because I know Mom's around and she's hunting around. And he had the foghorn, and I didn't want to use it. So we ended up not using the foghorn because we didn't know where Mom was at. and it's important to not want to piss off Mom, because she was to come through there, it would have been a big deal. So that's one of my bear stories. So I also have had encounters with coyotes, and my encounters with coyotes have been pretty, you know, pretty stable. I've not really had any issues. I've seen them running around. They tend to be usually by themselves or with another coyote. They usually are in solo or in pairs. They only really go off and start ripping and tearing in groups if they're trying to take down a bigger game. They start making phone calls. So I've had pretty decent encounters with coyotes. I've had encounters with bobcat multiple times, face to face. I've had some right up there hanging out. I've sat down, had lunch with a bobcat sitting there just hanging out with me, just being cool. Those have been really really cool encounters. Mountain lion, I've had several encounters with mountain lion. My encounters with mountain lion, I had one 100 yards from me one time. He was going up the trail. We were backpacking that night. We were pushing for light. We had a few more miles to go, and we had a big storm coming in the next day. So we were trying to get up to camp. We didn't know if it was going to be coming in that night or coming in the next day. So we were pushing pretty hard and fast, covert style. And a cougar came across about 100 yards from me. And first thing I did is I did the identification, long tail, did all the identification work there. And then he kept going up, or she, but cougar just kept going up the trail, and never had any problems. I've never had, and I've had about 3 to 4 encounters with mountain lion, and I've never had an issue where it's like, the kitty gets angry or kitty follows me or any of that stuff. A lot of the stories that you hear, these stories that you hear about, or this videos that are out there, they're so small. I mean, it's such a tiny fraction. Do these things happen? Yes, but the amount of times these things happen is so small. It's such a small little fraction that it's not. People blow things out of proportion so much. So I've never had any aggressive encounter with a cougar before, and I've never had one with a bobcat. I don't plan on it. Could it happen? Sure. But like I said, it's such a slim, small little tiny fraction if that ever happened. Rattlesnakes, I've encountered them multiple times. I've had them right up on the trail. So he had noticed a snake. It was pitch black. I don't know how he did that. But he jumps back, he says snake. It didn't make any noise, so I was getting my light out. I didn't have any shoes on at the time. I was barefoot. I was doing my barefoot walk. And I stopped everybody and I said, okay, let's just all stop for a minute, because we don't know exactly where it's at. Let me get my light out. And I get the light out. And so I'm like, okay, we're going to do identification. And then it starts going off. So I'm like, all right, we know where it is. So I got the light out, saw him, and then we just went around it. No big deal. But luckily he saw it, because the last thing you want to do is step on it or play around with it. That's the worst thing you can ever do. So crazy. Other one is pigs. Pigs are actually non-native here. They were brought in from the Europeans, those lovely people. They brought the pigs in, and I have run into pigs quite a bit. I've had quite a few experiences with pigs. Nothing too bad, but I did have one experience where I had one charge me. It was at night, the sun was starting to go down, usually when they start seeing them, and I was on Wall Point, and I'm walking back to get home, and all of a sudden I hear this, and I'm like, what the heck? And it sounded like something from Lord of the Rings. And it came at me full blast, and I didn't want to run. It's the last thing I can ever do. And they can tear you up pretty big. They can start tearing up your legs, rip through your flesh. So don't get scared. It's always the animals that are introduced here. And I got into a stance, got my stick out. I was just kind of like, ready to get him on. I'm like, ah! I'm showing my war face, getting serious. And, well, the rest is history. We had a lovely lovely bacon the next morning. And Pete started snorting and turning the other way and took off. So all was well. So that's pretty much the other encounters I've had is with cow. The cattle are fun. I'm not a big fan of them. I don't know what it is with me. They don't like me. I don't know what it is. There's some issue. But I've had several experiences with cattle. I've had them charge me before. Multiple. I've had 25 come all together one time and just charge me full on. I had to jump the fence. That was fun. So I always tend to kind of give them space, and if they're in your way, to either wait it out a little bit, but I don't get too close. I don't stand there and look at them. I hate that stare they do. It's intimidating. And I usually will go around them, but I typically won't stand there and wait. I'll kind of keep a good distance and wait if I want to wait it out, or I'll just go all the way around them if I can. If you gotta get off the trail, get off the trail. Usually when they're having their calves, it could be all year round, but I typically see it more often in the winter. You wanna tend to be really mindful of that. Don't make a bunch of loud noises and shout and yell. Don't show them your war face. And you want to just kind of keep your distance, especially with the cats, because mom don't like it if you're too close. I was out with a buddy one time. We were out. We had a pretty good fence behind us, and he was taking pictures of it. I'm like, hey, don't do that, don't do that. You know, he's getting all close. He's like, no, what are they gonna do? Oh, it's just a cow. And I'm like, no, don't do that. You'll piss them off. They started all coming together, forming together, and started getting closer to us. And I'm like, see what they're doing right now? That's not good. And he wasn't listening to me. And I'm like, dude, we gotta go. And they start coming closer. He's like, all right, now it's starting to scare me. I'm starting to believe you now. Well, good. That's one of you starting to believe. Let's go. They came closer and closer and closer, and then we were falling back, and we went for the fence. Like and one jumped up and started charging us like it was a bull in an arena, and it started bunking up, and it went through all the other cattle. It was a good 25 of them, and it's coming charging through, and coming right at us. And now all I can do is run. Now, because it's running at me, I've got to run now. I was like, I'm not going to stand there. Usually not what you want to do, but if he's charging at me full sprint, and they're all starting to go, and we just hop the fence, because the fence was so close to us, we had a good gap of things. God, if we didn't have the fence there, oh, who knows. So I've had a lot of bad experiences with cattle. I've had a few with dogs, people's personal dogs. I've had a few incidences, but nothing too serious. But most of my biggest issues with wildlife has been freaking cattle. I have been face to face with bears. I've encountered mountain lion. I've encountered tons of bobcat. I've encountered coyotes, but the freaking cattle. I don't know what did I do? The hamburgers? I had a lot when I was a kid. I mean, I get it. I don't know what to do. Maybe we can have some kind of peace treaty. I'd appreciate it, because I had a lot of stories with cattle. And yet again, another animal that's introduced, another animal that helped with the non-native grasses that we have here in California. Thanks. But don't let that scare you. If you get a dog, just keep the dog at bay. Keep it on a leash, because they're finicky. Alrighty, well, I hope you enjoyed that video, and if you got some personal stories that you like to say that you've encountered in the wildlife, I'd love to hear it. Leave a comment down below and we'll talk. Alright, I'm looking forward to fall. It's going to be some awesome stuff. I'm actually out here checking out the some of the black oaks to make sure they're starting to turn, and guess what? They're turning. Tyler, they're turning. I'm going to send you some information, Tyler, so I think by early October we're game on. Because we did have a nice little cool spell that happened in August. So anyways, thank you guys so much for checking out the video. I got some other videos I'll leave for you here. And feel free to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't yet, if you like me. My personality is fun. I'm going to start getting some more hikes led. We had one in Santa Cruz not too long ago, but I'm going to start leading some more hikes. I'd love to show you guys some of this beautiful fall that we have. Alright guys, thank you so much for checking out the video, and remember, keep away from those in-laws. I'm serious. Bring your war face.